Welcome to the ChronCast, a division of the Chronicle and IMI. We hope you'll enjoy today's podcast episode, and if you do, please be sure to leave a like and share it around. Also, be sure to follow us in our social medias, which will be linked in the description box below. Hey everyone, welcome to the ChronCast. I'm your host, Aditya Thiyag, and today I'm joined by a very good friend of mine, guest Sohum Suneja. Sohum, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Very excited to talk about what we're about to talk about.
Yeah. So the funny thing, just a little bit of trivia. Sohum and I have been friends since like the 5th grade, and I remember one of the first things we ever started bonding over was Batman and Batman comics. And I think it's really cool because it's almost kind of come full circles, because today what we have to talk to you guys about is the hype for the Batman and just our thoughts going into it.
Yes.
So are you watching the Batman this Friday?
Yes, I'm watching the Batman this Friday. Around 10. I'm going with a few friends, and
Gotcha.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, no, I'm watching it. So when we're recording this, it is Wednesday, March 2nd, and I'm actually watching it tonight, 7 p.m., and I'm really excited.
Nice.
So that's why we wanted to record this podcast now, get it out of the way before either of us have seen it. Now, before we talk about specifics with the movie, what is your relationship or what is your knowledge with not only the character but the actors who are in the movie or the director?
So with the character itself, he's my favorite character of all time. Not even just superheroes, he just is my favorite character. I prefer DC over Marvel when it comes to this kind of material. So really, just the fact that we're getting a new Batman movie, because I don't count Affleck as a Batman. I just think he was so bad.
That's very interesting, because Batfleck is actually my favorite.
Really?
So I'm interested to hear why you think.
Okay, so I just I don't know, the whole Batman v Superman, and I like Zack Snyder's Justice League, right? That was great.
It's fantastic.
On HBO, the long version, the one that recently came out.
So I actually have, this is a bit of trivia. So I went to WB over Thanksgiving break, and I got to check out the studio, and I got to check out the sets, or not only the sets but the costumes they use. And I bought this hoodie that says "Property of Gotham City Athletics," and it's Cyborg's hoodie. It's really cool. I'll show you later.
No, that's so sick. But no, the thing is not that I don't count Ben Affleck. It's just the whole when we got Bale, I wasn't consistently watching movies as I do now, right? But now it's we're getting a full just solely Batman. There's no other characters involved in this DC universe. It's just how Nolan
Gotcha.
made it with Heath and everything, that trilogy. And I think since this is I think it was rumored to be a new trilogy with Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
Then I just feel with the material I read and everything, I still kind of go back to Batman comics to this day. So I just feel it's gonna be insane.
Yeah, and I think it's really important that you mentioned the Dark Knight trilogy, because it's Twitter's going to be Twitter, and ever since the release of the Batman, people have been clowning it for whatever. But I've learned to accept that Twitter isn't actually an accurate perception of the real world. But I think it's extremely important to note just how influential Nolan's trilogy has been, not only on superhero filmmaking but filmmaking period.
Yeah,
because
it's crazy. It's I don't know, just with the combination of, Christian Bale as Batman, he's already a great actor. We've gotten to movies like American Psycho and stuff like that. So, and then combined with Heath, and The Dark Knight, which is literally right now before I see this movie, it's my favorite Batman movie.
It's my favorite movie outside of Interstellar. Outside of Interstellar, because that's my favorite.
Nolan is just
Nolan's crazy.
An artist.
Nolan, especially with Zimmer, doing the soundtrack. And I know I do love the 89 Danny Elfman theme, but to me, Batman's theme is the one that Hans Zimmer has composed.
Yes.
And I think purely the star power of the original trilogy, Michael Caine as Alfred, Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox, there were fantastic actors littered all throughout. My personal favorite is Gary Oldman as Lieutenant Gordon.
Oh, that was great. He just depicts, the character how he is. And I feel with this new movie, I feel Jeffrey Wright will be able to do the same thing. And
Jeffrey Wright is obviously an insanely talented actor, but I think the big thing that's going to differentiate this film from any Batman film that has preceded it is because I feel with each Batman film that has been released, it's a different artistic vision. With 66, with Adam West, it was just supposed to be campy, lighthearted, but there was still passion behind it. And then with Burton's run in 89 and 92, it was a gothic, nightmarish version, and that, has been equally influential in its own right. Joel Schumacher films, I didn't like Batman and Robin, but Batman Forever I've actually gotten a new appreciation for just the flamboyance of it.
Mm-hmm.
And Nolan's trilogy, you know, it was set in our real world, and Snyder's vision for Batman was also in his own depiction of the DC universe. But something that I think The Batman is already seeming to do extremely well is put itself in... It's bringing the comic Batman to life. It's bringing that nightmarish Gotham to life.
Mm-hmm. It's like, see, when I first saw the trailers, you know, people were saying, oh, this is a more like, you could say emo version of Batman, right? You know, it's like they're depicting the detective side of, you know, him, which they've done in the movies in the past, right? But it's just like, you know, with the Riddler as the main villain too, you know, he has to like really think. Like, it's not like there's obviously going to be action, you know, if you've seen the trailers, like it's going to be insane. But like, I think if we look at, you know, the only thing I compare it to is the games. Like, literally, in the games, you know, you do
Arkham games,
Arkham games. Yeah, like, you do the detective missions. And I feel like that's how it will be showed in the movie. Like, he will be, you know, something like that. That's what I'm, you know, predicting.
And I think, like, it's funny that you talk about Arkham, because I think the game that this will pull from the most is Arkham Origins, purely because, like, it's that similar time period where
Bruce, it's the second year as Batman.
Where people are still, like, worried they don't know exactly what Batman is yet. Mm-hmm. Like, he's still iffy with the police department. He's still this menace, and he doesn't know how to draw the distinction between Bruce Wayne and Batman. Mm-hmm. So I think that aspect, and that's honestly been my favorite, like, interpretation of the character. Like, personally, my favorite book of all time, not even just comics, just my favorite book of all time is Batman Year One. Right?
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I adore that story. And I think what's really interesting is, like, obviously with that book, like, it's him starting out, but I've always wondered as time progressed, right? Like, we've gotten so much of this origin. I'm glad we're starting just out in the middle where he's still, like, younger, but he's not completely new. Because I think that time period where he's still trying to find himself, but he's settled into his role as Batman, it's never been explored on the big screen.
Yeah, like, it's been done to death. Like, we know his parents died. We know the origin, you know, from the previous movies. But, like, I think now, like, we're getting, like, Batman starting out, how he's going to struggle, you know, even, like, with fighting. Like, he's not going to, you know, be, like, this crazy martial artist that he was, you know.
Although he's still gonna
beat the crap out of people.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, I'm excited to see, like, his struggle and, like, you know, how he has, like, how he actually, like, faces, like, problems, you know, in situations and stuff, and how he's gonna deal with, like, you know, the villains, like the Riddler. Like,
I'm really glad. Like, speaking of the Riddler, so Riddler, have you seen Gotham before, like the TV show?
I haven't finished Gotham, but I've seen the first 2 seasons.
I've seen the first, like, 3 seasons, so I haven't finished it either. But I remember my favorite character on that show was Corey Michael Smith as the Riddler. Mm-hmm. I loved the energy he brought to it. And I think I'm glad we're getting, like, him on the big screen like this, because as much as Carrey's Riddler is iconic, but I'm glad that they've adopted a darker tone for even this Riddler and finally brought out, like, what makes him menacing.
Yeah, I know. I think it's, like, they never really, you know, the Riddler was never really taken seriously. Like, he was, but, like, he was more of a comedic act. Like, you know, he wasn't like a Joker or, like, anything like that. So I think even with the outfit that they picked for him, you know, it's like depiction of, like, the Zodiac killer.
Yeah.
Like, they got influence from that. Like, Matt Reeves was saying something like that on Twitter. And you know, I'm just excited to see, like, just the whole theme is, like, darkness, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't know.
And people always have, like, a tendency to mistake darkness for, like, oh my god, they put, like, a noir filter over it.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
and I think people, like, really underestimate how much, like, visual effects has gone into the, because for all, like, the big budget movies that I think of off the top of my head, you know, like, Avengers Age of Ultron cost, like, $250 million to make, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm assuming most of that budget went into, like, the computer graphics department. So, like, behind the scenes, the green screen. But did you know that the Batman only cost $100 million to make? Or $250 million versus $100 million. So it's way cheaper, right? But it still looks phenomenal. Like, they're able to bring color out of it. And I think a large reason why it turned out so well, at least speaking from the trailers, is just they knew where to place their budget. They weren't spending CGI on costumes. They were handcrafting costumes. They weren't using backdrops. They were using practical sets. They had extras in the background. So I think, like, there is so much care in the visuals that it's it's such a disservice to just say they put a noir filter over it, because you're able to really see color. You know what I mean?
Can see color. No, like even with Darkness, it's a very like beautiful movie. Like just based on the trailers, you know what I've seen so far, it's just like
when he's chasing down the penguin and it's in the orange range.
Yeah, it's in the orange range, and then he literally he like when he gets out of the car, when
and he's just walking,
he's just walking towards, and then it just closes out as the Batman. Like that's so
cool.
Yeah, I know, right? Like the colors are just gonna be insane. I just feel like it's more of like, you know, it is not like, you know, as lighthearted as we were saying before, but I just feel like, you know, it'll be even more darker, you know, color wise than, you know, the Christian Bale movies, like the Christopher Nolan movies. Like it's just like
the Nolan movies were always shot with the sense of realism. Like it wasn't shot like it was. I think Batman Begins is the film that was mostly shot like a comic book gritty film. Like especially when like Bale was in the Narrows, like the dark part of town. Like that's when it was truly like gritty. But for the most part, Bale's take was never meant to be like as gritty as like what Matt Reeves seemed to depict us, or even Ben Affleck's. Like the way he was taken down. But I think with the Reeves, the vision that he really seems to be capturing is just to go all in on what makes... I think he wants to push the limitations of what film can do in terms of a comic book. When your base is a comic book material, I think he wants to explore how to make that as visually striking as possible while still keeping it semi-grounded.
Okay. So, see, the thing is, I had doubts about Matt Reeves, you know, as a director, because, you know, I'm not really too familiar with his work. Like, I think he did, like, Planet of the Apes.
He did both Planet of the Apes films.
Yeah. So
he did Cloverfield, too.
Really? I haven't seen
He did the original Cloverfield, yep.
I haven't, so I was, like, worried, but I'm like, you know, it is Batman, so, like, you know, it is based off a comic, so, you know, if he reads the material, then maybe he can, like, depict, you know, a good, you know, movie. But I don't know how he did it. I just feel like, you know, going back to Twitter, I just feel like people have been saying this is the best movie, and I'm like, okay, like he must have read a lot of Batman to like have to, you know, get all this material, you know, see the direction, you know, how he does and stuff like that. So I don't know. Yeah,
and it's interesting that you brought up like source material, because I know we're not strictly talking about Matt Reeves here, but I think someone who really did understand it was Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
And I think Zack Snyder, he works extremely well off of comic book material, because like it's obviously a meme how much slow motion he uses, right? But every scene in his movies feels like a comic book panel. Like you can see the storyboards.
Yeah. Well, he is a writer too, right?
Yeah.
He did Aquaman. He did, I think he's done
original Wonder Woman. I think he was producing on that. I'm not sure if he was strictly writing, but like if you think about all of his movies, right? Like the death of the Waynes, like what's it called? Ozymandias versus the Comedian in Watchmen. The This Is Sparta scene in 300, like everything feels cinematic, like a comic book, right? And I think the reason that he was a perfect choice to direct more Batman related things, like within the DCEU, what he did with Zack Snyder's Justice League, and even aspects of Batman versus Superman, he truly captured like the comic book darkness. He was able to balance like the silliness of a comic book with like dark reality in an extremely captivating way.
I see, yeah. No, see, when Zack Snyder as a director, you know, I trusted him as a director, especially for comic book movies, because he's wrote, you know, Batman stories in the past, right? He's wrote, you know, I'm going back to Aquaman just because I had the whole New 52 set, but like, when they chose him as a director, you know, especially, you know, it being on HBO Max, you know, more audience, you know, reaching out to those type of movies, I just feel like if Matt Reeves could do, like, I think Matt Reeves has also captivated, you know, that same comic book-esque, but we'll just have to see how it, you know, how it plays out.
And I think just I'm not hugely familiar with Matt Reeves' work, but I know the influence that it's had. The first, like, Cloverfield, I don't know, like, if you're somewhat familiar with it, but it's basically like a found footage film, like, akin to the Blair Witch Project, but the way it's set is, like, it's set in, like, New York City, but, like, a monster is destroying the entire place. So think Godzilla, but found footage, and Godzilla is terrifying. Like, it's just, like, I think he's very much a risk taker.
Yeah.
Right? And even with Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and Rise, like, those are very artful films, despite them being just about, like, monkeys with guns, right? So I think that, in addition to the fact that he threatened to quit if he doesn't get 100% creative control of this movie,
I did not know that.
Yeah, that lens, that has me really excited.
Dang, yeah, I did not know that he would have. He threatened to quit.
He threatened to quit if he did not have 100% creative control.
So I mean, based on the reviews, people are saying it's like, it's it's crazy. Like, it's literally crazy. So I mean, I don't know what he did, but it seems like he's like really like, captivated the whole imagery of Batman and like everything like that. So.
Yeah, and now I do want to get like into my thoughts on the actual movie itself, but before that, did you know that before this being a Robert Pattinson Batman movie, The Batman was initially supposed to be a Batfleck versus Deathstroke movie released in 2021?
It would have been straight off of Origins.
It would have been Arkham Origins.
That's what. So Ben Affleck was supposed to be the Batman. It was supposed to be Deathstroke as the villain.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be like a more origin story. So it was supposed to be set in the same time period, but it was supposed to be set within the DCEU, and it was supposed to be
really. So and then Matt Reeves was going to be the director, or Zack Snyder?
No, it was still going to be Matt Reeves.
When did that change?
I'm not sure. I think it was after the release of like 2017 Justice League, like the mess that caused. Like that caused like WB to shuffle a lot of things around, and I think that's when Ben Affleck was also done with the role. So I think that's around the time when he was like, okay, I'm done. So they brought on a new creative team, and at least with the cast, and they changed it to be less. They changed it to be its own thing with the Riddler and Penguin and Catwoman. So, but yeah, it was originally supposed to be a Batfleck versus Deathstroke movie.
That's crazy. No, I wanted a Soul. See, I didn't know that before, but I just thought we were getting a Soul Batman movie, like not set in the DCU.
Yeah.
So that's why. Dang, that's actually really insane. Like, I did not know that.
But like, as excited as I am for that movie, I can't help but think like Batfleck, his physicality and just the Batman that he played, he would have been perfect for a Deathstroke fight.
Yeah. Because he's like, he's built like Batman. Yeah. Especially when I saw in like, Batman v Superman.
The warehouse scene.
Yeah. And The Dark Knight Rises, like he's like a more like even in the comics, right? He's a more like burly,
The Dark Knight Returns.
The Dark Knight Returns. Sorry.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight Returns. He's a more like burly,
dude,
Bruce Wayne. Yeah. So it's cool.
And I know people were complaining, like, because again, Twitter's going to be Twitter, but like, I'm like, oh my god, Deathstroke's like a Teen Titans villain. I think Deathstroke still works as a villain to Batman.
Yeah, of course. No, where was Deathstroke? Deathstroke's been in many, not just Teen Titans, right?
He's been an enemy of the Justice League.
He
was an Arrow. He's been enemy of Batman. Like, it's never been strictly to Teen Titans. Even with like, because Cyborg started out as a Teen Titan, and now they're making him like a member, like now he's in the Justice League.
Justice League? Oh.
Because like the reason, I know why like DC wanted to do it, because like they wanted to add more diversity to the cast, so they decided to pull like Cyborg. I'm not talking about for the movie, I'm talking about in comics. Like they wanted like more representation, so they brought along Cyborg and they pulled him from Teen Titans. But I personally think like they already had Jon Stewart Green Lantern, but like either way, like Cyborg. What I'm trying to get at here is I don't think it's realistic for characters to be tied to any one team, and I think having them used interchangeably and getting the chance to see Deathstroke played by Joe, I can't pronounce his last name. I know it starts with an M, but getting a chance to see his Deathstroke go up against Ben Affleck, that would have been amazing. But let's talk about like the movie itself. Let's talk about like not only your predictions, like let's talk about what do you think about the cast?
Okay, so yeah, so you asked about the cast originally. Sorry about that. So
no, you're good.
So Robert Pattinson. Again, I was doubtful of the whole cast. I'm not even gonna lie.
I was so doubtful of Pattinson, especially
because I didn't see all the Twilights, and I saw The Lighthouse, which I love.
That's how I got convinced about Pattinson.
Yeah, because first of all, I think Pattinson is in The Lighthouse. That was also like a very dark, movie, and Willem Dafoe is literally my favorite.
Yeah.
He's like top 3 for me, in actors. So, because he's been some of my favorite movies. So, them two together in The Lighthouse is like, okay, this dude is not just like some, I'm sorry for all the Twilight fans.
Yeah.
This dude is not just some dramatic.
He's not just Edward.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not just Edward.
Like he can depict other characters. So him as like a superhero, like And again, I don't even see, this isn't even a super, like, this is a detective movie.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a crime noir.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I feel like he can. See, I don't really know who else. See, Ben Affleck, like you were saying earlier, would have been also a good choice. See, now that I know, like, he would have originally been facing Deathstroke. But I feel like Robert Pattinson is going to do a great job. People are saying he's the best Batman. Yeah. He's better than Christian Bale. So,
I've been steering clear away from reviews because I think people can let the hype get to them.
Yeah.
I have immense faith in this movie, but I remember when like No Way Home was coming up, people were like, "Oh my god, it's better than Spider-Man 2 and Into the Spider-Verse," which is just wrong. For the record, Into the Spider-Verse is still the best Spider-Man movie.
I think 2 is the best, but
you think 2 is the but it's 2. Like I think hype can get to the best of people, so I'm just gonna wait and see. But I definitely understand like he's an extremely talented actor.
Yeah. No, he depicts dark characters. Like everything he's done, even in Twilight, has been dark. It hasn't been all happy. And so, I'm not really like see, and him playing Batman, who is a dark character. I think it's like a good choice. Like he would not be able to play Superman.
Yeah, and I think people mistake dark for one note, but like you can have many complexities and nuances within that dark, and that's something he did extremely well in The Lighthouse, especially.
Yeah. Of course. Who else? I mean
Jeffrey Wright.
We don't even need to talk Gordon, about it. I don't know. I mean, I saw him in the trailer, and he looks phenomenal as an actor. I feel like how he's like gonna be leading the Gotham City Police Department. I feel like he's just gonna do a great job.
I've never been like truly invested in like a Gordon before. The only Gordon I've ever been invested in is Gary Oldman, and he just like blew it out of the water. I think Gary Oldman as Jim Gordon is probably my favorite character in that trilogy, honestly.
And I think maybe he's my second or third because even what reminds me of like what really set it for me in the trilogy was the last 15 minutes or the last like 15 minutes of The Dark Knight when he actually showed emotion. When Gordon, when Gordon,
I have to save my family.
Yeah, exactly like that. Like that was just. That said it, like, he is Gordon for me. Like, there's no other Gordon.
Also, that wonderful scene between Gordon and Joseph Gordon-Levitt in The Dark Knight Rises, where Bane is reading, like, the speech he wrote about Harvey Dent, when he's like, Harvey Dent, like, actually wasn't, like, a great person. He killed my family, but he was going to kill my family. Batman stopped it. And, like, Oldman gives this, like, guttural, like, visceral performance where he was like, if you were ever in that position that I'm in, you better hope there's someone right next to you who'll plunge their hands into the filth so you can keep your hands clean. Like, he's just an insane actor. And I'm not asking Jeffrey Wright to be Gary Oldman or anything. I'm sure he'll do, like, a fine job on his own. But I think people really underestimate the gravitas that he brought to that role. And, yeah, I just think Gordon was super underappreciated.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't think he's the best character, but I feel like he's definitely like second or third.
Yeah.
Because he just showed so much emotion in that whole trilogy. And like even in Batman Begins, like he was just crazy. He was just great.
And they showed that moment of like him in The Dark Knight where he pretends to be dead and then he comes back to his family and then
that was insane.
Yeah.
That was the first time I watched that. I was literally 5 years old. I shouldn't have been watching that movie at 5 years old.
But like anyways. It's okay.
Like I had nightmares about Heath. Like it was insane.
Speaking of Heath, I know they're doing. I mean, I love Joaquin Phoenix as Joker as well. I love Todd Phillips' Joker movie. I mean, this movie already seems to be doing extremely well, but I really hope we don't get another Joker for this Batman trilogy because I think that Batman has other rogues that deserve their moment in the spotlight.
Yeah, of course. No, I think so. Here's the thing. I think in one of the trailers, I don't remember exactly which one, but I was watching an analysis on it maybe like 2 weeks ago.
Gotcha.
On YouTube, and there was a like an enlarged Joker card in the background.
Gotcha.
So everyone was saying, "Oh, he might be in the second movie. He might be in the third movie."
I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't want another Joker. Like, let Joker just rest. Like, we know he's a crazy, psychotic. Like, we don't.
Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze would be insane.
I want Court of Owls. Give me that Court of Owls story. Give me Hush.
Hush.
Give me Hush.
Even like like side, more side villains, like the Calendar Man or stuff like that. Man. Like it would have been insane.
Calendar Man and Arkham was done so well. Like,
I know,
just
like
being
in the
background.
side missions and all that was crazy.
Like, you know how like I don't know if you know, there's this thing in Arkham City, like, you know how you can visit Calendar Man on different dates?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there was this one person, I think Rocksteady had to come out and say it, but if you set the date on your PlayStation to the day Rocksteady was founded, he'll tell you, like, I was there at your beginning and I will be there for your end. And Arkham Origins starts out with Calendar Man escaping that chamber, and Arkham Knight ends with Calendar Man in the crowd when Wayne Manor explodes.
What? That's crazy. See, that just tells you how much of like effort and energy Rockstar puts into
Rocksteady.
Oh, Rocksteady, my bad. I'm sorry.
Rockstar.
Rocksteady puts into that whole series of games. Like that was crazy.
Yeah.
But like depicting Calendar Man as a real like live action villain, I think that would be great.
I think they could do it.
Yeah.
Especially
honestly.
Like if they're able to make someone as like comical as the Riddler, who's typically been like flamboyant in the Jim Carrey edition, even in the Arkham series, like the dude has a top hat and a cane, right? Like, there's a way to make him fit your universe while still keeping it grounded. And I love that, like, we're also getting another Penguin adaptation, except instead of like, I'm glad at least what we seem to be getting from the trailer, like, even though Riddler's the same villain, the same way that comics can have multiple villains and characters weave in and out of the story, we're having Penguin in the story, and Batman's like simply like he give Batman that interaction with those rogues. You know what I mean? Even if they're not integral to the main plot, I think it adds to like the comic book nature of the movie. Yeah,
I want more like comic. See, that's again, I don't want Joker in the second or third movie either. Like, I want more underappreciated villains. There's one I'm thinking about. I don't remember his name. He was in a Arkham City side mission. I'm sorry, I'm going off track here, but he was in an Arkham City side mission, and it was like Mad Hatter.
Mad Hatter would be so crazy.
Like just him, like just basically not necessarily drugging, but drugging Batman and like bringing him to his own world and stuff like that. That in a live action movie would be insane.
You know who I think would be good too? Professor Pig. Like, especially the way they did him in Arkham Knight.
If they can find material on Professor Pig, like, again, just more underappreciated villains that don't have much material to read on, right? If they can find material like that, I feel like they can implement, all three of those villains in the second movie. Yeah. They can do Mad Hatter, Calendar Man, and Professor Pig, or something like that.
Yeah, and that solely depends on, like, the success of this one. But as we've been noting, like, this movie seems to be extremely like well received from everyone, and I think a part of it, at least something that really jumped out at me when I was watching the trailers, and I saw that they released clips from the movie and analysis. I haven't seen any of it, so I've only seen the 3 trailers. That's my expertise, but I know we touched on earlier, my favorite part of movies now, like as a more jaded 17-year-old, is just the cinematography, which is like the camera movement and stuff. But I think the cinematography in this movie is downright gorgeous.
I know.
Just the way it's framed, the way it's lit.
Just the camera work and everything like that. It just looks like, they put effort. Because why I'm saying that is because for the past, few months, right? Because I've been watching a lot of, older movies, but newer movies that have come out, last year and this year, I just haven't found a good movie, like, besides Spider-Man, okay? I have not found a good movie that I, really, really enjoy. Like, I just saw Uncharted, last week. I didn't like that one at all. And I love the games. Like, they're my favorite games.
We've also fanboyed about those games.
Fanboyed about Uncharted, Naughty Dog is just, stuff like that. But, like, and then I think we talked earlier last year when Mortal Kombat came out. I personally didn't like it. I know you did.
I had fun with it,
But, like, see, I want a movie with, like, a good cast and just a downright just emotional story. And
I want passion.
Yeah, exactly. Like, these movies are fun, but, like, they have no passion. Like Tom Holland, as Nathan Drake, it's cool, but, like, I want a story.
Yeah.
I want an actual good story. So I feel like with this, just the small details, or not even the small details, but, like, the cinematography and all that adds up to, like, making just a great movie.
And I think No Way Home is, like, a fine movie, but, like, as much... I think visually it's pretty dull. Yeah. Right? I think there are a lot of things, like, obviously Holland gave it his all. I think all the cameos, they gave it their all, but, like, ultimately it felt like just another Marvel movie, but the event was there.
Yeah.
The last genuine like passion I felt passion in the first half of Shang-Chi, and then the second half I didn't like so much because they turned it into a typical like Marvel movie with like CGI and stuff, and I was like, okay. But like with the Batman, it feels not only like stylistically an improvement over the stuff we've been getting recently, but it feels like flamboyance with purpose.
Yeah.
It feels like everything, like from the muscle car design of the Batmobile to the
That's crazy, by the way. It looks like just a classic car.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't even look like high tech like the Nolan movies. It just looks like a car.
It just looks like a car. And that's perfect for like, and obviously people will be like, oh my god, that's lazy, but no, it's a genuine visual representation of this Batman. He's raw, he's unfiltered, and he's young. So why wouldn't he choose a muscle car?
Yeah, why wouldn't he have, just a car that will do the job, right? It doesn't have to have all these like extra gadgets
bells and whistles,
and stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. So, sorry to switch topics here.
No, it's cool.
Going back to Penguin, right? I'm so excited for Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell, right?
I didn't even recognize him in the trailer.
I was gonna say Paul Dano, and then I realized he was playing Riddler.
He's scary. Like every movie, I haven't seen much of his work either, but I saw like what was it? 12 Years a Slave. Did you watch that?
That was Paul Dano?
Yeah, he was one of the slave owners in that movie. And he was just, and I saw that when I was young too. I shouldn't have. Like, he was so scary to me. Just his face, he just looks crazy.
Yeah.
Like so I feel like him playing a Riddler, especially this Riddler, like just a psychotic, like serial
Zodiac
killer.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
I just feel like he's gonna do a great job. And so is Colin Farrell. Like the Penguin, people need to realize like he acts all tough, right? But on the inside, he's actually like he's weak.
Scared. Yeah,
he's very scared, especially of Batman. Like with the whole like walking scene when he walks up to his car after it crashes.
Dude, that scene is so awesome.
He is so frightened for his whole like existence. Like,
and I think like another part like is just the camera's doing a really good job of showing that to us.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
But like going back, obviously, I didn't mean to cut you off, but with Colin Farrell, like you were saying, like Penguin has never been that like mean, threatening character. Like he seems like it, and I think that's something that Nolan North played extremely well in the Arkham games. Like he was pretending to be like this mob boss, but the second like he felt smoke from Batman, he got scared. But I think Colin Farrell, from like the makeup and the costuming and just like he's not like the Danny DeVito short stubby little guy, but they fit the essence of Penguin into the story, and I think that that's also something I'm really excited for.
Yeah, I'm looking at the cast here, and it's like there's also going to be your typical mob bosses, like just regular, not like main villains like Falcone.
Dude, I am so excited.
Like him in Gotham was just different, but I'm excited to what they're gonna do. Like how even how Penguin is gonna be affiliated with the mob bosses because he's always like winded himself up into some trouble. So I'm just very excited how they're going to depict it.
And I'm glad that we're going back to basics and Batman's not fighting like gods or anything. Like, again, I do love Zack Snyder's Justice League. I do love how much they improved Steppenwolf as a villain and like the way like they squared off. But I genuinely believe like this kind of story is much more suited for Batman. Like keeping it grounded, keeping it smaller scale, but going all out on like the action. Like even I'd rather watch Batman fight like a bunch of thugs if it's filmed and framed well than just Batman fighting like a god or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like using his like, he knows like every martial art. Yeah. So using like those, skills like in, using that fighting style to fight all these thugs instead of using a kryptonite, ring to like stop somebody. Yeah. Right? So, or suit, sorry. Yeah. But
going back to the cast, I know Zoe Kravitz is on there, and she's the one I'm probably the most familiar with throughout this entire cast. And I gotta say, this woman, she's an insanely empathetic. She's extremely good at conveying her emotions through subtle body language. And for her to play someone like Selena, who's notorious for being like emotionally closed off and just appearing like she has a good time, I think the vulnerability that she could play is extremely exciting. Like Zoe Kravitz, because I just saw Kimmy recently and I reviewed it for Chronicle, and like outside of the cinematography, my favorite part of that movie was Kravitz's performance. And after that, watching that movie, I was thoroughly convinced that like Kravitz can play a compelling Selena Kyle.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with her work, like Zoe Kravitz, but like I just feel like, see, there's also a dark, like you were saying, like she's not like this, all the time, just having fun, in Gotham. So there's a dark side to Catwoman too, and I don't think that I don't think she was played right in the Dark Knight Rises. Like I didn't like I liked her character, as a thief and everything, but I just don't think there was enough like darkness to her. Like I don't think she is sort of a Batman in a way, right?
Yeah, I think she worked within the context of the Rises films because they weren't trying to be like gritty crime noirs.
Yeah, I get that.
But I understand what you mean. But I think one shot from the trailer, I forget which trailer it is, but there's a shot where Batman just like he's punching the crap out of someone, right? And like you can see a shot of Catwoman just in horror of what she's witnessing. Yeah. And I think that is a testament to like, even from the trailer, we can get a glimpse of that emotional vulnerability, that complexity that's there, because she's not like just this damsel in distress or anything.
Yeah. She has like her own, way of thinking, and she's like, oh my, like she's like this person that I'm, I think she's gonna be working with him, but like her witnessing, the horrors of what he's doing and how he's like being ruthless. He's not now. Batman's like, somebody deserves it. He's not in control, right? But like, just him, just having, just being this new, vigilante that's come in, only in his second year, and he's like, just showing no, emotion, no mercy or anything. He's just like, going crazy. That's all.
And I think that like something like Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz, they seem to have really good chemistry from what I'm seeing. Yeah. And on top of that, I think they're recapturing the spirit. Have you played the Telltale Batman games by any chance?
No. Are those the people that made Walking Dead?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not.
So Telltale, they did 2 sets of 5-episode Batman games, and
really that many?
I only played the first one, right? But like, so the first 5 episodes, and I think what they did really well was capture like the Batcat romance, the Batcat like relationship, whether it be like fighting or like together or against each other. So I think recapturing that and like tying it back into like whatever story they're telling, I think it's a fresh angle in my opinion.
No, I haven't played the Telltale games. I know somewhat about them. Like I know like the Joker character is just completely different than like what you've seen in the movies, right?
It's interesting.
It is, yeah. So I mean I've played the Rocksteady games, and those were just a different level to me. And I've watched, I think, almost every animated show or movie. Like I've seen the entire animated series. I've seen all the new movies that have come out. Probably my favorite Batman movie, or second favorite, is Under the Red Hood.
I was just about to say Under the Red Hood is my favorite. Oh my gosh!
If they put Red Hood as a character in any future movies, I will die. That would be insane. Like that's low key. He's my favorite Robin too, or he's my favorite. Sidekick. Yeah. And how he works with Batman is just.
I love Tim Drake.
I love Tim Drake too.
Tim Drake is Robin.
No, my favorite used to be Dick Grayson, and then as I got older, I'm like, okay, Jason Todd is my favorite because he shows the rawness of like Robin. And I hope they put Robin in a movie too. Yeah,
I think. I mean, obviously, I don't think it makes sense like right now. Where he's at, but I think later.
If they implement Dick Grayson,
I think it could work.
Yeah. So, and if Matt Reeves, has control, then I feel like he can make it work.
And there's one member of the cast we haven't touched on yet that I'm honestly kind of interested in. Andy Serkis as Alfred. He's a phenomenal actor, and he spent his entire career working with like computer graphics, right? Like he was Gollum, he was able to play it like that. Yeah, he directed Venom: Let There Be Carnage, so he knows like CG. Yeah, he did. He knows how to direct CG creatures, but I'm interested to see what his performance as a more subdued Alfred is, because when I think Andy Serkis, I think this maniacal, expressive individual, even as Claw in Black Panther, right? So I think it'll be interesting to see like what humanity Serkis brings to the role.
I think he will more be as like a teacher. Gotcha. Like in Gotham, how like Alfred was like starting to teach young Bruce. Now Bruce is already Batman in this movie, obviously, but like I feel like he will still learn a lot from Alfred still right at this point in his life, and Alfred will be one of the main like driving forces of what keeps him like going and stuff like that. I feel like he'll be a big character. He won't just be like some butler, right? He's not just gonna like help him out. Like he's actually gonna train him. And stuff like that. Like I feel like he won't be looked off as just some like fun, because you know what I'm saying. Like,
I know what you mean. Yeah, and I think like they really seem to be going all in. Like I remember in the third trailer, they were like, it's all about the Waynes. Like that's what the mystery is. And then Bruce is like, you lied to me, Alfred. So I think they're going in on like it was an arc that was expressed before that I really wasn't super interested in, where like the Waynes weren't like all good, right? But I think like Alfred hiding those secrets will cause genuine conflict between him and Bruce. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But in terms of Alfred himself, I don't think it's ever been done better or will ever be done better. Again, I am excited to watch this movie, but Michael Caine as Alfred in the Dark Knight trilogy was just so incredibly human.
I know, and when he was like, you know, he wasn't on the best terms with Bruce in Dark Knight Rises, and then at the end, he's just like bawling his eyes out because he thinks he failed the whole family. It was just it was an amazing performance.
Yeah, after I remember after Batman goes out, like when Bane does the stock exchange heist and Batman goes out and then he comes back, he's like, get this to Fox, and then Alfred's like, this is the last thing I'll do for you, and then he finally reveals that he burned the note that Rachel gave him.
I know, it was just
The Dark Knight. And it's such a vulnerable performance. And then for him to come back at the end of the film and be like, I failed you.
Yeah. No, he really was more of a I think he was really more of a father figure in that whole trilogy, to be honest, because he was just like he was his mentor. He was his mentor in a way. So I think because he has Andy Serkis, like I feel like he can you know, obviously do that, but I think it'll be more like just the whole theme of the movie. It'll just be more gritty. Yeah. So he won't he'll show emotion, but I don't think he'll be more of a mentor. I think he'll be more of a trainer.
Yeah. Speaking of gritty, I know we've talked about like really how dark this all seems, which is why it really surprised me. They released the soundtrack, the main titles.
I haven't heard any of it.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if this is really a spoiler, but the first half of the Batman theme composed by the legend Michael Giacchino, who did
that's crazy.
Michael Giacchino did like Incredibles.
Just the first half?
I mean, he did, like, he's doing the soundtrack.
Okay.
But purely speaking on the first half, it's a lot more hopeful than I thought it would be.
Okay.
Even in the music. And I think that lends to, even though this is a dark story, I think Bruce really believes in his mission, and he still feels that, like, even though he's taking on this darkness, it seems like he's doing some good, or he wants to do some good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he's doing it in a way that's, like, very... not just in character, like that's how Batman.
He's a very much ends justify the means.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's how Batman, proves to himself and everyone else that he's doing good by being this like, just
dark force.
Yeah, exactly. So
you remember in the Dark Knight Returns where like Superman's flying around, and he's remembering how apparently Bruce says, sure, we're criminals. We've always been criminals. And I think that's something that Ben played really well in not the Dark Knight, in Batman v Superman. But it's also something that I think Pattinson is bringing to the role. Like, he knows that he's not, like, he's on the outs with everyone. He seems apathetic. He seems vulnerable, hardened. But it's definitely something that is integral to the Batman character. And I think Pattinson...
Yeah, I've seen more. I think I'm getting more appreciation for Ben Affleck. Like he's like, I don't know. I just wasn't a big fan. Like Batman v Superman I already knew I didn't think it was gonna be a good movie just because, like, I was a fan of the Dark Knight Rises or Returns.
Dark Knight Returns.
Sorry, I keep messing up. But I just didn't have high expectations, so that really just killed it for me. And even though I love the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League, I don't know. I think he's my least favorite.
Have you seen the Ultimate Edition of BVS? It's the director's cut.
I don't think so.
I'd recommend you watch it because that is probably my favorite DCEU movie.
Really?
Yeah. And I know that's a bit of a hot take, but I've grown in appreciation for that film over the last 6 years. But wow, it's about to be 6 years. That's crazy. But like, I'm glad you've gotten some appreciation for Ben Affleck, but I think we're both on board with Pattinson as Batman.
Yeah. No, I think he's gonna kill it. I think he's gonna be amazing. I'm gonna have to analyze like who my favorite Batman is after this, because right now Christian Bale is taking it by a landslide.
Okay.
But after this performance, after I see it on Friday, I'm gonna really have to assess, because people are saying he's the best Batman.
I think after I watch it today, I'm gonna go home and I'm still gonna realize that Kevin Conroy is the best Batman.
No, I'm gonna watch it more than once. I'm gonna try.
I'm watching it today, and then I plan to watch it again with my friend next Friday.
Next Friday.
Because.
So are you going with like your family today? Or?
So I'm going with my mom and one of my friends today, and then next Friday I'm going with my dad and one of my other friends. Because I want to watch it twice. So
yeah, that's sick. No, I'm going with a few friends on Friday, and I'm just.
Dude, I can't wait till Friday. I need to watch it now.
I know. No, I literally was gonna try to get it now, but I'm like, just Friday is like. Friday's just.
I'm gonna walk into school Thursday, so tomorrow, sleep deprived, and I'm just gonna be like struggling through calc, be like, I watched the Batman.
No, it's worth it, bro. Literally, it is worth it. This movie is just. When did it even get announced?
I don't know, because it was like they planned this. I mean, I remember the first tease we got of it was during DC Fandom in 2020 in August, which I loved that fandom, by the way. But they revealed like the trailer and. There was only 20% of the movie done, but it already looked phenomenal back then.
Really?
I remembered. Yeah, because I forget who announced it, but they were like, yeah, we only have 20% of the movie, and that's what the teaser trailer became, but it already became so fully realized. It looked so interesting, and now we're getting it.
Yeah, now we're getting it. Like, it's out.
It's out.
That's crazy.
And everyone's been raving about it. We've been, like, super excited, because... I mean, Batman's are both of our favorite characters.
Yeah, I know. He's insane. I used to read so much I used to be obsessed with comics. I used to read so much Batman. Every time I would go into the store, the comic store, I would literally just... That's all I would try to get a Batman collection, not even a comic book collection.
No, because literally all my favorite comic stories are Batman stories. Like The Dark Knight Returns, The Killing Joke, The Long Halloween, Year One. It's all Zero Year with... I think that's with Court of Owls. Batman Hush.
Yeah, I think, no. See, we were talking about villains earlier, and it's just been in the back of my head. If they did Court of the Owls in a movie, that would be my favorite movie.
I think this is the franchise that
they would do Court of the Owls.
Because they're talking about there's a lot of mob, it's the secrets of the Waynes. I think Court would make the most amount of sense.
I think New 52 is the whole series, because I didn't read it in issues. I read it in graphic novels, right? Yeah. So, or volumes. So that's probably my favorite story because because the whole the death of the family story. Did you read it?
Yeah.
So the death of the family story arc with Joker, where you cut off his face, and the volume 1 with Court of the Owls was just insane to me.
Volume 1 is crazy.
Yeah.
I thought Rebirth was better overall though.
I didn't read Rebirth.
Rebirth is crazy.
I haven't read comics. It's been a minute, but
but if you do, I know this is a little off topic, but if you need to read one comic, I'll give it to you because I own the series. Read Dark Knight's Metal. If you haven't read Dark Knight's Metal, Dark Knight's Metal is amazing.
Really?
Dark Knight's Metal, that's where they introduce the Batman who laughs and all of that. So you got to check it out.
Oh, that's so sick. No, comics have not really been on my radar so far. I read this is really
I read manga. Yeah,
same.
I read manga.
No, I don't even read manga like that. Because so there's this one. Soon to be anime, but it's only in manga right now. It's called Chainsaw Man. Oh my god! I ordered the first 3 volumes of that last week, and that's all I've been reading.
Yeah.
And I don't read like that anymore.
Yeah.
But I just that was insane.
Hopefully,
that's off topic.
I know, but hopefully, the Batman. I know some of my favorite things when I see them. I'm interested to pick up that material again. Ever since I started playing Bloodborne, I've been reading a ton of Lovecraftian horror stuff. So
I see.
Yeah, so I'm excited. If this movie causes me to spend a week straight replaying the Arkham games,
that's what I've been doing right now. I bought the
trilogy.
Not the trilogy. I bought the pack where it has the first 2 games.
Return to Arkham
because I had on because I played them originally on the PS3, and then I got an Xbox, and then I just got my PS5 last year. So I got those games. I've been replaying those, and I already loved City, but I've grown so much appreciation for Asylum. That game is just a full-out horror game.
Yeah.
It's insane with Killer Croc and all that.
And I think the horror element is also something that's really going to be recaptured with this movie too.
Yeah.
Especially not only because in Asylum it was you're afraid of everything, but for this one it's Batman is the person you should fear the most in this movie.
Yes, no, exactly. And see the villains in those too. What is this? Zaz.
Yeah.
Zaz in Gotham was he in Gotham?
I think he was in Gotham.
Or he was in Flash.
Nah, he was in Gotham. He might have been in Gotham. Yeah.
Okay, because I remember
he was also in Birds of Prey.
I didn't watch
Birds of Prey is fantastic.
Really,
But
yeah, Zaz. No, these are the type of villains I like. Like these super like underappreciated. Just because like I've like tried to dive into these people's stories. So like Mad Hatter, Calendar Man, Zaz, Hush. Stuff like that. Hush is insane.
And so, I think like this iteration of the Batman, like they really seem to be going all in on like that side, and like for a detective Batman who's also super aggressive, those would be the perfect matches.
Yeah, that's sick.
Now I know like this was an extra long episode, but I think that is like all the time we have today. Sohum, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I had a great time talking to you, man.
Yeah, same with me, bro.
Yeah.
It's great talking to you.
And I hope you enjoy the Batman whenever you get onto this. I will try to get, hopefully, I think by the time this is uploaded, I will have already seen the movie, which is really exciting. But I hope, like,
after... I probably will already seen it, too, right?
Yeah.
How long does it usually take you to...
I mean, I might upload this today, like,
okay.
March 2nd. But, like, hopefully, after this podcast, like, either you've watched the movie and you've loved it, or you've watched or you listen to the podcast right before you watch it. Either way, I hope you guys are go check out the movie. I hope you guys have a great time, and leave any thoughts about either the movie or the podcast down in the comments below. Feel free to tag us on all of our social medias. They'll be linked in the description box below. I'm Aditya Thiyag. This has been the ChronCast, and I'm signing off. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the ChronCast. If you enjoyed this episode and want to be notified when our next episode goes live, please be sure to follow us on all of our social medias as well as hitting the subscribe button. In addition, if you want to check out our other podcast, The Interview by Alex Daracel, a link will be provided in the description box below. We hope you'll choose to join us again on the next episode.